Welcome Spartans to Halo Headlines, part of Evolved, your home for Halo. This week's recap, we cover all the top Halo headlines for the week of the 5th to 11th of September. I'm your host Aaron, and with me today we've got Lucas.
Hello everyone.
Before we get started, we'd like to take a minute to thank all of our patrons for your continued support. You guys help make everything we do possible. If you're not already subscribed and would like to become a patron, head to patreon.com/Halo Evolved, and there you can find out all the little perks and bonuses that come with it, such as access to unique swag, early episodes, access to our soundtrack, and the secret Discord channel. Discord was very broken this week, so if you were there to witness that, it's all fixed now.
How is it broken?
Ian broke all of the rules, and for a brief time I was no longer in charge of anything.
Did someone like Rye get in charge of everything?
No, he was also demoted as well. I think Matthew and DeSudo may have swooped in quickly and demoted him also. There was just brief chaos for about half a day, and then Ian came back sort of to everything on fire. It's like that Community scene.
Yes, where the guy walks in with a box of pizza and the whole place is on fire. Yep.
That was just Ian. What is going on here? So if you too would like to be included like stuff with that, become a patron today. And if you like what you hear and want to check out more of our stuff, go over to the website evolvedhalo.com, where you can learn more about everything we do. Right, so we have two things to cover in the news this week. I was about to say the first one's the bigger of the two, but it may not actually be the bigger of the two now, so we'll see as we go. But the first one has more details in it. So we got our first look at Forge for Halo Infinite. It was actually very good. I was excited.
Kind of came out of nowhere. I just kind of pulled up YouTube and I was like, oh, there's a video starting in 5 minutes. And so I'm panicking, texting everybody, Forge video, here, watch it.
A part of me does wonder if maybe they scrambled to get these out after the roadmap went down as not enthusiastically as it did. That'd be a nice way to put it. Forge only looked impressive, and I think that cheered a lot of people up.
It was really, really cool, especially a lot of the things they were showing. And I'm excited to see, because there's going to be more than one video. I think they were saying there's going to be a few more before they actually release in November.
That actually takes us into the first item here. So there is going to be 4 videos. The first one was about building, just going over some of the basics, how it works. The second one's going to cover the scripting. Third will cover lighting and audio. And the fourth will cover file sharing, canvases, things like that. So we'll expect a few more to drop as we go. Stuff we saw in this video, I'll go through it and shout it anything you want. So we have access to assets from both campaign and multiplayer, and the very first thing they showed off was a recreation of part of Foundation in Forge.
I was going to say the cool thing that they showed here was, besides the fact that they recreated the entire level with Forge objects, was he was showing the snapping abilities, and then he was showing the flattening abilities. So they had it was almost like a weirdly shaped pillar, and because he liked the texture on one side of the pillar, he literally flattened the entire pillar and pushed it against a wall, and it's well, that wall has a design now. And I thought that was incredibly awesome.
Yeah, it was sort of half of a Forerunner arch. There were 2 pillars that go up and then they taper in and then they go on up again, so they just made that a straight column, which was really cool. I also quite liked, we'll cover it as we get down here, but it's actually the next point, that assets can change size, shape, color, and texture. So what they showed was a clump of dirt scaled down and set into the top of an item to make a barrel of fire, but it was actually also scalable up to a small mountain. And then you can change the color and texture in any of these as well. So you could take any item, morph it, and change the size. And they were saying they no longer have to have different assets for different sizes taking up room in Forge. You have one item, and whether you want a big giant grunt or a little teeny tiny grunt or a mountain or debris on the ground as gravel, you just shrink your items as you need them.
I think that's incredibly useful, because I remember doing Forge in Halo 3 and it was well, I need this size building or this sized wall, but they only showed it scalable as that size. So they probably have hey, a longer or a thinner wall, and then you can scale that and stuff like that. So they probably have some other more generic sizes, but again, you don't need 400 different choices to choose from when figuring out what you need to place in the Forge map.
No, you don't need large wall, small wall, medium wall, long wall. You can just have one wall and change the dimensions, really. So that sort of stuff was quite cool to watch. We also got that the item limit, the budget has been increased, so it's now 7,000 objects versus the 1,600 for Halo 5. That should make for some incredible stuff, because like some of the things people made in Halo 5 Forge was pretty cool and ridiculous.
But now we're increasing it by almost like fourfold. And like the one of the maps they showed was a guy who made like, he had like 63% completed, and it was an entirely Forge created map, and it had like rain come, not really rain, but like water dripping down, and had like steam coming up, and it was running really well at like 63%, which is, you know, probably close to 4,000 objects at that point.
Yeah, that map did look really exciting. Like you saw that sort of environmental effects and the clouds of steam and the sort of fog. Like it's a lot more than you could do before.
The one thing I did notice is the comment they made about like how Forge works now. And so essentially, like with Halo 5, it was any object you had to like put down, like the engine like completely had to like render it or like notice it. And like, I don't really understand like the technicalities of it, but it made things super complicated. And so like the more items you had on the map, it like slowed things down. And so I guess they really simplified it in Halo Infinite, where it's like, it looks like a block, but like the engine only sees it as like literally like like the generic shape. It doesn't see the textures, it just sees the shape. And then when you get to lighting aspects, yes, that changes, but like as like a for collision factor and like for movement of players, like it only just sees the shape of the object and not like everything else involved with it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. One of the other things they talked about as well is how to be able to help work with different creators. So they said that you can, if you mash objects together, you make something new. One example they showed was like a holographic table, but they said you can save that as a prefab and then share it with others. So rather than them having to like backtrack it and figure it out, you can just upload it and they can do it. And they also said that anything you point at in the sort of monitor mode, you can see how it was made, because you can see the components it was made from, and say if something's been distorted or moved, you'll be able to look and go, oh, that's a corner piece of wall that's been distorted like this. So that sort of stuff's really cool for trying to figure out how someone else maybe made a map.
Mm-hmm. They had the guy, he posted like it looked like a galaxy map, and it like had like lights and stuff on it, and he used like a radar dish, and like just to be able to like go onto like a work, like that Halo needs something like the Steam Workshop, where like you just go in and it shows all these user created things, and you can just download it, and it like integrates super easily into the game. And like it's like, oh well, this is a really cool map, let me put this thing in my game that I am making, or the map that you're making, or whatever.
Yeah, and one of the other interesting things they said was they now have an undo function, which is something you definitely want. They were like, yeah, it's in every other piece of software you use on a computer ever, so why wouldn't it be in Forge now? But like that makes all the difference if you've ever mucked about in any of the old Forges and you do something wrong and then everything breaks, you're like, oh, right, I have to delete all these and start again. Whereas now you can just undo it.
Literally, the guy said, like, every other computer program has an undo and a redo function. Why shouldn't Halo Infinite? And I agree. Like, my Microsoft products all have it. All my AutoCAD products have it. You know, why shouldn't a map editor have it?
It's one of those things that you don't think about until someone points it out and you go like, oh yeah, that does make perfect sense. So I am very excited after seeing this. I look forward to seeing more of their Forge videos. It could really be the kick up the arse Halo Infinite needs to get people very excited.
The one that's going to excite me the most is the scripting one, because while they showed like some grunts, and they were just like stationary grunts. I don't know if this is scripting like, hey, if you push buttons, it makes things move, or is it like scripting like you can add enemies into and like create essentially a campaign map?
Yeah, I would love to find out how detailed that is. I think the fact that they're dedicating an entire video to that fills me with hope that it's going to be like pretty cool stuff. That there's enough to fill. This video is about 20 minutes long, so if we could fill a 15 to 20 minute video on scripting, I'd be excited.
Yeah, I'd be excited too. The one other thing we didn't really mention was the fact that they were talking about like textures. And so like every item in the game, like even the grunt's armor, like you can change the texture. So like they had the regular armor, and then they switched it to look like a tin roof shack, like in a like a favela or something like that. And his armor had that sort of a texture, and they were showing the textures, and then they had all these forerunners. They had some dirt textures, and they're saying any object can change to that. So like that makes a whole bunch of possibilities where like you might not like the item's texture, so you switch it to fit how you need it, which is again opens up millions of possibilities.
Yeah, it saves you being limited to, oh, well, this stuff is, Covenant textured, so I can't use it in my human base map that I'm building because it's not right and it's all purple. Now you can go, well, I want this piece, so I'll just change it to concrete and work away with it. So that's all definitely stuff I'm looking forward to. We'll go on to our second bit of news because we could sit and talk about Forge all day, but this is headlines and we try to be quick. So the other bit of news is the announcement that has come out today that Bonnie Ross is stepping down as the head of 343. This just got posted up a little while ago as we record this now.
I would say technically this is on the 12th of September, so we're a day after the headlines episode, but it fits in well.
Yep, it just works and no more. Right, so the statement here says, while I'd hoped to stay with Halo until we release the winter update, I am letting you know I will be leaving 343 and attending to a family medical issue. I am incredibly proud of the work everyone at 343 Industries has done with Halo Infinite, the Master Chief Collection, the Halo television series, and so much more. It has been an honour to serve alongside the team for the last 15 years and to be a part of the Halo universe that I love. Thank you to everyone in the Halo community for your support. Halo's future is bright, and I cannot wait for all of you to experience what we have in store and to cheer alongside you as a fan at the Halo World Championship in October. Axios, Bonnie Ross. So, that was the statement put out.
I will note that, what's it called? Mr. Pierre, I'm going to butcher his name, but Hinsey is now the new lead of 343. And so you might be asking, who is this gentleman? So he is the guy that's been hard at work trying to get the MCC back in a good state. So, the work he's done to get MCC to where it is today gives me some hope that he might, put some of that experience into Halo Infinite.
Yeah, I think the way things are at the minute, having a bit of experience fighting fires is not a bad thing if you're going to be working on Halo for a while.
I guess my thoughts on this is like, it seems kind of convenient. And I am very hoping that, Bonnie Ross doesn't have any family issues. Like, I wish her and her family the best, but it just, like, reading this, like, right as after the whole downfall after the season 3 update, like, I feel like that's kind of a very convenient way to step out of the spotlight and take a graceful bow out.
Yeah, it's one of those things like we were talking earlier before the show. It's not necessarily something you want to speculate over, but, it does have the feeling of, well, this was on the cards, but it's been stepped up just so you can go. But it may not necessarily be the first time that someone in corporate's done something like this and gone, now's as good a time as any to go. But no, we do have all the sympathies for Bonnie Ross and her situation. Our thoughts go out to her, and hopefully the rest of the team can step up and get things geared up again.
I'm sure this seems like it's been planned. I mean, even if there was actual family issues, it looks like it's been planned, and so they just kind of, stepped up their timetable a little bit and just did things a little earlier than they intended.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that, but for now, that's probably all the news we're going to get in that. So with that, guys, that'll do us for this week for Halo Headlines. Like I said at the top of the show, if you want to check out our stuff, go to evolvedhalo.com. Also check out our partners Josh and Will over at HCS ProTech for all your competitive Halo news. Once again, special shout out to all of our patrons. Go to patreon.com/Halo Evolved to learn more. And with that, I have been your host Aaron, and until next time, evolved.
Evolved.